For this episode, I have taken possession of the podcast's position of power. We have swerved off the stardust-laden hyperspace lanes to settle into the damp and shadowed valleys of western Pennsylvania. My name is Leslie, and I will be your ghost master for this haunting of the Hydean Way. We return to Pittsburgh. We're at Point Park, which is settled, as you might imagine, on the point between the three rivers. It's a lovely place during lovely weather, but right now it's a little miserable, a little cold, and a little damp. And what we are seeing is a sea of blue figures milling about in the actual park. If you pull back a little farther, you see there's a woman standing there, worriedly turning over one of her pendant necklaces in her hand like it's a talisman, staring at the scene ahead. Her hair is curly and slightly chaotic, and she is wearing layer upon layer of colorful clothing. And she looks back over her shoulder to where the normal people have kind of backed off, giving a natural perimeter of safety. Because ghosts are not unknown in this area. There's a handful of runners and a couple of people that were out just wandering around the park. Everybody's got their phones out, and they're trying to figure out what's going to happen next. Scattered amongst these people are 4 professionals, whether or not they look it.
Desmond is handing business cards out to the crowd as he walks up to the situation. Just remember, use the official hashtag Phillybusters. The business card will tell you where to find us on Twitter. It is at Philly_Busters. Don't go to Phillybusters. That will be somewhat different. You can take all the pictures you want, but you gotta tag us. And walks over to Joanna.
Following on Desmond's heels is Gable, who isn't saying anything to the crowd. She's going by, and her interaction with them is occasionally like a nice fist bump or high five as she's going by, but no words as she follows, kind of adjusting the strap on the makeshift golf bag proton pack as she joins Desmond.
Following behind, kind of trying to avoid really... Actually, no, I'm primary diplomat. Why would I avoid people?
You're not
Maybe you don't like being the primary diplomat. I don't know.
Okay, following behind, trying to recall all of the strict company guidelines, strict is in quotation marks, company guidelines about interacting with the public and things such as, you don't talk about like who your employer is or the nature of an ongoing haunting, etc. Contractually, that's just not professionally done. You don't let them touch your proton pack or your ghost trap, etc. You have to constantly pepper your words with a disclaimer about Ghostbusters as a franchise, etc. Mason, otherwise, is a little disheveled still from our earlier training session, though he probably tried to get his hair slightly more sheveled on the way here, though that wasn't assisted by what's-her-name's driving. He is, I think, maybe the only one wearing, like, regulation jumpsuit, standard Ghostbusters jumpsuit, unmodified, kept in pretty good order so that it matches all of the photos, and it's clear that we're Ghostbusters and we're a franchise, specifically from Philadelphia, etc. All of that very, very plain to see. He is clearly not the most physically imposing in the group, so he does kind of get missed among the other 3 on account of being sort of scrawny and kind of easy to miss.
Question? What's going on with the ghosts? Like, are they just sort of a mob or what?
You're not really that close yet, so what you're seeing is just kind of, it almost looks kind of like they're waiting for something to happen. They're just kind of milling around, but you're still a fair distance, because people have learned that ghosts can mean discomfort.
Yeah, well, Desmond has a lot of slime anyway. I am thinking of, well, so there's Beltane has one of the pocket full of matches that they've got. Well, it's in a watertight container and all that sort of stuff, but they've got one of their matches out the corner of their mouth, like they're chewing on the end, and they're towards the front, they're sort of jogging up after reluctantly giving back that one fan's phone. They get to the edge of this gathering of ghosts, and I'm just sort of thinking they get up on a park bench so that they can get a bit of eyes over, and a breeze catches, causing the trench coat to catch in the wind and flap a little bit. Looking out, a hand raises up to their hat. It's like, this is quite a gathering. This has got to be at least at 3. Too many 2s here to just wave it off as one of those. And quickly grabs out the actual bound edition of Tobin's Spirit Guide and starts flipping through, trying to see if there's anything there.
Okay, that sounds like a roll to me for finding what you're looking for. You're going to get it, I would say, all 3 dice, because you are experienced, and you are an occultist, so this is kind of up your alley.
Awesome. To which I get a 3, a 3, and a 5.
And your number is, in fact,
A 2.
So you are, like, super prepped. Okay, so what you're getting from Tobin's is this appears to be a sort of mass kind of gathering of specters. It's unusual for individual specters to kind of take up specific locations together. It's usually a single haunting event. But what really is kind of tickling the back of your mind is Joanna says there have been no hauntings at the park. She referenced a couple of the occasional issues at the forts, but you guys have moved up to the point where the forts are to your side and behind you, and there's nothing going on there. This is very specifically at the end of the point, near the sort of central fountain area. They're also not doing anything, and you can't hear anything. So what you're feeling from flipping back and forth is that this is a sort of mass crossover that is not done happening yet. Joanna will look over at you and look over at your book, and
you have some of the weirdest raves going on here.
She laughs nervously, still kind of flipping her pendant over in her hands, and she looks really uncomfortable. Like, determined, but uncomfortable. So what do you think it is? I mean, they don't look like they're doing anything, but there are so many.
Hey, you guys think up a plan? I'm gonna go grab a smoke.
The park thanks you politely for not smoking.
Oh, once Gable starts, you can't stop her.
I really must. The public are taking pictures of us, and we don't want that to end up on social media.
We don't technically have a social media policy.
We have a draft, and it is on the way to being passed. I drafted it.
Step away, cigarette towards mouth.
At least
Lighter
cover your
coming
name
up.
tag.
Well, you can see most of Gable's name tag is burned away anyway. There's mostly just a G and part of an A you can see, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the Filibusters patch on her shoulder is very present, because that was put on last week. We had to replace that sleeve.
And there is only one franchise with that logo.
Yep, it's that tricorn hat, just stands out.
Yeah.
Do we have anything we're wanting to do, or should I start trying to get them to dance out?
I mean, I'm good at talking to ghosts. You know, that's why I have the spirit box.
Okay, I put the map in the chat. Where do you think you guys are standing? I'm gonna say that the ghosts fill the concrete area around the fountain. There are a few stragglers around in front, but they're not spread out all the way toward the fort. There is a large space between the fort, and the bystanders are lined up kind of semicircle back by Fort Duquesne. So they're by what it is actually is an outline of the fort in stone. They're hanging out back there.
Well, gatherings of this size of full-body apparitions are pretty rare. But maybe some kind of collective unfinished business, or I guess goo situation. Mason will make his way towards the ghost congregation and try to find something to stand on or something like that. He takes out one of his other pieces of equipment, which is just a little bullhorn, just a small one, and says to the ghosts, excuse me, if I could have your attention, please. Can anybody tell me what we're all here to do? Anyone?
There's no reaction.
Anyone? Are they even like looking or anything?
No, they don't seem to notice you. There's groups of people kind of talking to each other. There's a couple kind of walking back and forth. They look anxious, like they're waiting for something to happen. And there is one man that you see kind of striding up from the side. Eyes will turn to follow him. But as it reaches a certain point, it's almost like he disappears. And everybody resets, and then it starts over again.
Yeah, okay, that answers my first question. I think it might just be a really big residual haunting. That's probably fine. We can just disperse it, I imagine.
I'm gonna need more Chuck.
Joanna kind of looks at Gable smoking in the distance, and then looks at Desmond with the slime blower. Looks at you with your chalk and you with your bullhorn. She's kind of standing still further back. Still looks very, very anxious. So you say they're residual. That's the kind that doesn't interact. It's just kind of like a shadow, right?
Well, Mason gets down off whatever he was standing on. He's still holding the bullhorn, but he's not like talking into it at her. Well, you see, it's really more like a recording. You know how on film you can like kind of use light to impress upon the film an image, and of course then a lot of film makes a moving picture with a lot of little pictures. Well,
thank you. I understand the logistics of the film industry. Thank you. I would ask you not to patronize me. I am part of this business.
So they're like on a loop, I guess.
Yeah, because rock of a certain level of copper content has a tendency to record or memorize, sort of, or soak up things that occur there, and sometimes they, for perfectly mundane reasons, manifest as full body apparitions.
So, what was the big hullabaloo about here? Like, it obviously wasn't like when the Penguins won anything. So, what?
From the crowd in the back, you hear a wag yell, "Throw a proton stream!" Joanna turns and just gives them a death glare. And it's dark, but you can tell somebody shuffles awkwardly kind of behind someone else. And then she turns back to the circumstance.
Gable starts moving back to the group after that yell.
Well, how would you guys like to progress? I mean, you've got a sea of ghosts moving around. You got some wags in the back. You have space as of yet unexplored.
Yes, we haven't really gone off the planet yet.
So what's the plan?
I think we just need to discharge some of the stone memory.
So shoot
It's
it.
like
No. We're not shooting Point Park. This is all stone and some metal. There's a plaque over there, and the fountain, of course, and the art.
But like, if we're talking like a huge charge, then couldn't we use like the fountain as a lightning rod to discharge it throughout the water system?
I guess
We could also use slime.
Well, yeah.
Slime would probably
if,
better.
If I might cut in, I'm looking through the employee manual right now, and
We still have one of those?
yes. So right here, Article 17 on page 43, you have all posited very good hypotheses about with this situation, but we have not actually got confirmation that they are not interactable. So I think that the first step might be to attempt to communicate.
I did. They didn't.
Perhaps.
Yeah. And then there was that loop where the guy came out and then disappeared and reset. And, like, there he goes again. Like, this is the fourth time I've seen that guy try and leave. He gets a little bit further each time, though.
As you point him out, Joanna takes a couple of steps toward kind of peering at the man that's walking.
Do you recognize him? Is that Jimmy Hoffa?
Wrong city.
Sorry, I think I must have misunderstood that scene because I thought that you hadn't actually confirmed.
I mean, you were probably going through your employee. I'm holding a tablet and scrolling, like you can see what I'm doing. Going through your employee manual.
Like,
But
yeah, yelling at a group versus actually going up and trying to talk to someone, very different things.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I think the point is still relevant. And speaking of which, Gable's going to say, only one way to find out, and is going to start walking towards the ghosts.
Also, Desmond was very concerned with the public image of Gable smoking, so.
that's true. Desmond's
This
got things
isn't
on
the
his
80s
mind.
anymore.
It's totally weed.
Mm. So, Joanna has stepped forward, and Gable is walking into the crowd.
Walking towards the ghosts, yes, the spirit crowd, as it were.
Okay, while you're walking, Joanna's going to go ahead and answer the question. She kind of nods and shakes her head at the same time. Well, when I said nothing ever happened at Point Park, that wasn't entirely true. It was called a riot, but only 2 men died, and there was a lot of hurt people, but there's never been anything that happened with that.
That sounds like a lot of stuff because most riots don't really have that many dead. Or at least not in the ones I've seen.
But I mean, it's just a thing that happened. It doesn't mean anything.
Of course not. What was it?
She's spinning her little pendant faster, and she's starting to kind of rub at the back of her neck. Like, she looks really uncomfortable around these ghosts. Well, there were. You're familiar with the industrialization of the nation and the factories and what Pittsburgh is known for, right? I mean, we're the Steel City. What a lot of people don't necessarily know is that we also had a number of glassworks, and there were people that had independent glassworks. Actually, that warehouse we were in was part of my family. My great-great-grandfather, whatever, he owned that. But all of the independent ones were bought up by a mogul, and then they decided to unionize. And the mogul didn't want that. Alan McKinnon, you'll see his name around town. But he didn't want the bad press of other incidents where there were murders and shootings. So he said, we'll negotiate. It didn't go well. But he wasn't around. He left it in the control of his second in command. He wasn't here. There were some beatings and a couple of people got stabbed. If you look over there, there's a plaque.
Trundles over.
She's eking closer, kind of getting closer to Gable, but still getting closer to the ghost. Like she's trying to overcome a fear almost. But Gable,
Yeah,
where are you? You were walking forward.
I'm walking forward towards the ghosts. I'm trying to, because Desmond brought up the whole idea of like, well, we don't know for sure if they're just the memory or if they're interactable. So I'm not like walking to the dead center of them, but I want to walk to the edge and see if they react at all to me.
No. They keep just walking. They don't look at you. They don't change their patterns. As previously stated, that one guy keeps walking through and then kind of fading back as everything resets. He does seem to make it farther. He looked originally like he was going around the outside of everything, but now it looks like he's curving in toward where the fountain is.
Mm-hmm.
Just talking to people kind of as he walks through.
Okay. I think for the next little bit of a test, I'm going to stick my arm in like the path of one of the spirits to see, does that disrupt them at all? Does that just slime me? What's going on here?
It's not even a slime. It's like a
passes through.
hologram walking through you.
Gable turns back, looks at the group, shrugs.
Well, I guess we ought to read that plaque.
Well, you can read the plaque. I don't know when to give you more information versus letting you guys make up your mind. I'm sorry.
We're going to read the plaque.
All right.
Seems reasonable.
Okay, the plaque is a little further in. It's on the other side of the main surrounding sidewalk. You will have to walk through and past a handful of ghosts to get there, or
Leslie,
figures.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
And we're done. So you...
Thanks for listening to this episode.
And there's Beltane going, oops, sorry. Like, apologizing to everyone that Beltane has to walk through, but also trying to dodge around as many.
So it sounds like we're moving forward. Desmond, are you coming with us through the spirits?
Reluctantly, but yes.
Okay.
Joanna has indicated where the little plaque is. It's just one of those standard stone squares with an angled brass plaque on top of it. She is, however, coming with you by way of, you know how when you're in a crowd, sometimes you hang on to your friend's coat so you don't lose track of them?
Mm-hmm.
Even though these bodies that you're walking through are not actually pressing on you or moving you around, she is gripping Gable's sleeve. Like, if she lets go, she will be washed to sea. And as you approach the plaque, it says, commemoration of the Point Park riot, put here in loving memory of Burton Learish by his daughter, and I don't have dates, I'm sorry, 30 years after the incident.
Mm.
And then it has a little etching kind of in it that looks like a layered circle. And if you look up, within the fountain, there's those little jets that shoot water toward the center, but instead of the center being more fountain, it is actually an immense kind of metal and glass structure that's spherical with little lenses all over it.
Isn't that Joanna's last name?
Yes, that is Joanna's
Yep.
last name.
Cool.
Uh-huh.
I think all eyes turn towards Joanna.
Joanna is not looking at you. Joanna is looking further into the crowd. You actually see on the inside, which is actually closer to the river, but it's inside the layer of people, there's a couple of women standing there with baskets that you would expect probably have food and that kind of thing. They're looking around a little anxious, but they're being supportive.
Desmond is now flipping through the employee manual again. All right, so conflicts of interest is chapter...
Gable's going to pat Joanna's hand and say, "It's all right. I understand."
I don't. They've never been here before. I mean, we all know the story, but I've never seen them. And she points at one of the women and says, that's my namesake. She was here when it happened. When they stabbed Burton. Because he was the leader of the unionizers.
Desmond slaps the employee manual shut. Team, could we... Joanna, would you mind if we had a little...
Sidebar?
Is that the word for when... Yes, that.
Beat me to it.
Joanna will nod vaguely. She's still staring at the woman, hand kind of outstretched. She will let go of Gable's sleeve and let Gable walk over to you.
Desmond kind of holds the book up to their face to block his mouth. And just in case, Joanna can lip read. All right, so this is convenient, right? She's personally attached to this situation. So we can definitely eke out some more equipment money.
Well, assuming she survives, usually I've seen in this situation they get drawn into the spirit world and then we're left without anyone to collect from.
Oh, she'll survive.
Oh no, we've already got it in writing. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're obliged to worry about whether or not she survives.
Oh, of course. Yes, of course.
And if she survives, we can probably get more equipment money.
Yes, well, and she's also very emotionally compromised right now, it seems like, so we could probably...
Well, they're making me sound like it shouldn't.
Like, shouldn't we be worrying more about the problem?
Well, yes, obviously, but, bottom line.
Alright. So what's the problem as you see it, Gable? I'm seeing it as... Actually, I'm not quite sure what I'm seeing it as.
I'm sorry, did you think I called you over here because I was... I don't know, worried about her
Yeah.
or something? Because, that's definitely at least, priority number, I don't know, probably 17 or something. It's
Oh my God.
It's up there.
At this
I'm not
moment,
cold.
the man that's walking across and walking toward the fountain walks through you. So he's made it just that little bit further, and then he disappears and it all loops again.
Well, now I'm cold.
So the problem as I see it is we got these ghosts everywhere, and they shouldn't be here. So we gotta make them go away. Lay them to rest.
Yeah, but something's stirring them up to be here. Sure, we can use your neutrino wand and do it that way, but there's a lot more than just you, and we've only got you and the slime kid. So,
Look, not all accountants are slimy. I'm sorry. I think that's just a really... You mean the gun, right?
Have you scanned them?
at which point, Beltane is going to slap their chest where the modified cell phone is and pull it out. Quickly starts scanning. Of course. Ghosts aren't normally showing up as like full bodies in this. They're showing up mostly as their auras and where they're getting tied into. Like if they're at a location or a physical place that they're attached to, it usually shows up as like ropes of smoke going from their aura to wherever. At least that's how I've been envisioning it. And yeah, I'm kind of thinking that this would be a pretty good time to scan things. Seeing where these ropes of smoke go.
All right. It's 3 dice. You know your drill. We'll let you scan and see how we should move forward.
All right. I have a 3, a 3, and a 4.
All right, and those are all good. So what you're getting is mostly noise at this point. It is almost like you're looking at a snowfield because you're surrounded by a lot of energy. It's very disparate at the moment. It's spread out, but there do seem to be a couple of power points kind of floating within it. So there's, if you go on a scale of brightness, everything is gray, and there are a couple of spots that are whiter.
Okay. Now, Beltane's focus is on that screen, just sort of following it and like scanning from side to side, going towards one of those bright spots until they're fairly close, and then they look up, trying to see what they see.
As you're walking forward, everybody's kind of doing their own thing, but you're moving toward the actual fountain, which is kind of at the middle of everything. But at the same time, you're moving toward where the women were standing in the back. And as you pass Joanna, you hear quietly, "You shouldn't be here." And at that point, you kind of pivot slightly, and your scanner lights up. That you are standing directly on the point that it's the strongest location on your scanner.
Well, I've always been told that I shouldn't be at a lot of different places, but I keep finding myself in places I need to be. And, well, right now a lot of people are getting kind of spooked. At least a little bit. Except for that guy over there who just keeps on yelling out. I don't know why.
Let's see the slime!
Must have gotten hit by a Pirates game? I don't know.
Joanna speaks again and says, once more, just, "You shouldn't be here." The others will see from where you're standing, the main person that's been walking through walks to exactly where you're standing and is facing where the women are. And Joanna says, "And neither should you." And then it stops and loops again.
I mean, is this in Joanna's voice and everything? Like, does it seem...
She's speaking, but if you look at her, she's not the one speaking. Fancy words would have you think things like genetic resonance, genetic memory. Kind of like she is a receptive speaker for something that happened.
Excuse me, whoever this is. Why shouldn't we be here?
No response.
Is she talking to us, or is she talking to one of the ghosts?
As the man walks through again, she actually will physically turn to face him, and she holds up her hand like the woman behind her and says, "You shouldn't be here." And then as the man points at the woman, she said, "And neither should you."
Oh, so the neither should you is the man.
Replying.
Okay, I didn't get that the
I
first
didn't
time.
quite get that either.
Well, that's because each time you guys, like you said, he's getting a little further into what's happening.
Okay.
So you're slowly getting more of the picture.
Okay, so the ghosts are residual, but this does seem to be a situation rapidly approaching something really bad. We can lay bets that this riot might break out, and what a ghost riot looks like is actually very well documented from,
Yeah, well, they had the 3 over in New York, yeah.
half a dozen cases across the country. And it's never good. And we definitely do not have the staff here to handle that, so we probably need to avert it. So,
What's anchoring them?
I think it might be that guy. Don't know why he's here.
Do we want to put down a containment rune?
Well, maybe. Catch him. Stop the playback. It's like hitting a pause button.
Yeah.
In the background,
Pause button solid.
"You shouldn't be here, and neither should you." Yes, well, one of us has to look out for this family. And with her out of the city, I couldn't let you do this stupid thing by yourself.
Was that more than last time?
Yeah.
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 All
Quick.
right.
Beltane, get a rune down in that guy's path before he comes back. Quick.
All right. Now, trying to slap down a rune in the path.
All right, let's hear a roll.
Huh. That's interesting.
Huh?
I did get a 2.
Okay.
I also got 2 ones.
Okay.
Oh dear.
So
No, that's someone completely different.
you're actually not going to succeed.
Fair.
You try to get it down in time, but he walks through you before you can. And you hear, "You shouldn't be here, and neither should you." Whole thing. And then the little more at the end is, "I'm looking out for this family too. I just have to look out for the future, not just us." And the loop starts over again. What is your question? Since you got a spirit roll.
Do the spirits seem to have any recognition of Joanna being there?
No, there is no interaction with you or with her.
Yeah, I was sort of figuring the 4 of us there wouldn't be, but with Joanna, it could have been, and that was sort of the part that I was getting worried about. I'm just sort of worried that this whole thing is going ahead and we'll end up with like the crowd's revenge on Joanna for the sins of her family.
What I will say is that when the two come together on either side of Joanna, your PKE meter of its own variety spikes. And I would like everyone to make, I'm going to call it a notice roll effectively.
Yeah.
It's going to be mind.
Could I ask a question real quick?
You are more than welcome to. I'm not obligated to answer, though, because it's not a spirit roll.
Right. What, 2? Are there 2 ghosts?
She's standing between where the women were and the man. So when the man comes to the point where he's addressing the woman,
Right.
and the woman is addressing him, when they get together and are speaking, there's the spike.
Okay.
But I thought the woman was speaking through Joanna, but she's...
Okay, look at it this way. They are the radio waves. She is the speaker.
Yeah.
She is a figure of sympathetic resonance that is voicing what is happening in the past.
So we're watching the two spirits, but yeah, she's just talking and saying the words for both parts.
Yeah, she's saying every line.
Yeah.
But...
Yes.
Okay.
And she's saying it in her voice. They're not like possessing her.
Okay, I did not understand what that was at all.
2 members of the same family. At least that's what I'm getting.
I thought she was being possessed or something. I thought there was the one ghost communicating with her, and then...
She is a passive receptacle.
Yeah, okay, that changes things.
Can I have my notice roll, please?
Yeah, how many dice?
It's just 1 apiece, because this isn't like
Right.
anything active you guys are
5.
doing, basically.
Okay, we're all rolling on this one.
Okay, did anybody succeed on their mind roll?
I wanted to roll below my... Wait, is it...
No,
I want above my number.
You want to
then
roll
I have a
5 or up,
success,
darling?
because I have rolled a 6.
Yep.
I also succeeded.
Did anybody get a spirit roll?
No.
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 Spirit roll is your number, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Then no, I did not.
Okay. So, as this is resetting, she's still standing there, mouth open, holding her necklace, rubbing her neck. Like, she's still, but she's still in that position she was. Everybody that succeeded, which I think was everybody?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
No, I failed the notice.
Oh, okay. Okay, everybody but Desmond becomes aware of a physical pressure. Perhaps it's because you 3 are more experienced in the field. You're feeling an energy buildup. It's almost like a low-level electric charge. And you hear a sound of something moving. Something big and heavy.
Oh, no.
From where? Like, where does the sound? Where does it sound like those sounds coming from?
From the fountain area.
Okay. I kind of still am of the mind we might want to try and slow down these 2 ghosts, now that I know that there's 2. But we've got a proton pack and a goo thingy, right? So
Yeah. Do you want us to shoot it?
it might buy us time to slow down the ghosts while we try to figure out what's up with the fountain.
I think Gable's right. We're going to have to discharge this energy. I don't know what's causing it, but...
Okay, the man is on the approach again. He is nearing your location.
Yeah.
And you see the woman starts to look at him, which is, as immediately preceding every conversation.
Yeah, I'm of the mind we need to blast the ghosts to at least slow them down and contain them.
Okay. I guess then next loop I'll try to shoot the man before he can walk over here.
I mean, ideally this loop before he gets here.
Yeah.
Well, okay, this loop before he gets here. I'll take a shot then, Leslie.
And Desmond ought to get the other one, theoretically.
Well, Desmond, who didn't notice that, will finally sort of snap into noticing what's going on, I guess, once Gable starts shooting.
I was about to say, once Gable powers up the proton pack,
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
You're like, oh,
Oh!
things is happening.
Starts to fiddle with the slam gun.
All right, Gable, what are you shooting?
I'm going to shoot the man. before he can reach the woman for the conversation. I'm gonna guess Burden is his name.
Burton, yes.
Yep. So how many dice is that then?
That will be 3.
Okay.
Desmond, who are you shooting?
I guess. So the woman is also being slightly antagonistic at Joanna, right?
They're being antagonistic at each other around her.
Okay. Then, since Gable is shooting the man, Desmond will shoot the woman, but will definitely apologize while he does it.
Okay, you only get the 2 dice. Christine gets the 3. Go ahead and roll, my loves.
And this is a body, right?
Yes.
I got a spirit.
Equal
Woo!
to or under. All right.
I've got 3 successes, one of which is a spirit.
Woohoo.
I rolled 2 and a 1, so I passed twice.
Nice.
Okay. Gable.
Yeah?
You shoot your proton pack with expertise. It is a beautiful shot. It goes and it hits the man dead in the chest, and it goes to start to wrap around him, but then it falters and goes through him. Desmond, your goo shot showers not only the woman, but also Joanna, because she's right next to where the woman is. And the woman actually doesn't react, like it passes through her until it kind of splashes on the ground around her, and then she falters. Like there's a hiccup in the projection system. And Joanna actually snaps out of it. Christine, what's your question?
Oh, I don't know. What question should I ask? I guess what I really want to know is maybe this is stupid, but why did the stream go through him?
I mean, that would be my first question, too.
Yeah, like I'm trying to determine what makes this ghost different.
Experience tells you that when something is a projection of a memory, a residual haunting, it is very rare for you to be able to interact with the projection itself, but rather more readily you can interact with what is making the projection.
Oh, okay.
So you shot the projection, not the projector,
Gotcha.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I assume the projector's at the fountain somewhere where the sound is, so we should probably go look there.
By the way, Joanna collapses to her hands and knees, just sobbing.
Beltane is going to go over and try and help Joanna up, just sort of comfort Joanna, and also, while doing so, to take a quick look with the PKE scanner, try and scan over the necklace that Joanna's been fingering.
Okay, so when you get to Joanna, she is, as I said, on her hands and knees. She's kind of rocked back. She's sitting on her feet. And she looks up at you and laughs. I've never been very good at field work. I don't know what to do. And she drops her necklace to run her hands through her hair, and she pulls her hands down, and she's, her hair's gooey and gross. And she just kind of looks at them like she has no clue what's going on. She does not remember what just happened. But you notice that the necklace you were interested in is kind of not hanging straight down, but rather is pulled almost like magnetic toward the fountain.
I am going to ask Joanna if I could take a look at the necklace that seems to be acting weirdly. Because Joanna's currently, I'm assuming, not feeling that it's weird.
No, she is completely unaware.
Yeah.
So you ask, and she's just kind of like, sure, it's just, it was my grandmother's reader. She held it over it. It's like a magnifying glass. She just kind of pops it over her head. It's just on a little beaded, very 70s beaded kind of chain.
Cool.
And she just kind of hands it to you. And she kind of rocks back and sits up a little bit. Okay. It's not dangerous. You determined it's not dangerous, right?
Yet.
From the distance, back by the fort, you hear, "Woo! Do it again!"
I guess we did give the people what they wanted.
You look over and you see the little flashes of camera flashes just going off.
Chins up, chins up. Good Angus.
Grabbing the necklace, I think, since Beltane's an occultist, think, alright, I'm going to try something that my sister Samayan told me, and then starts waving their hands around it and starts using it like a compass. As it's pulling, just following it. Almost like it's a dog pulling at their leash.
Okay, I would like our occultist and our theoretical scientist to make 2 dice rolls.
All right.
As in a single roll with 2 dice.
Okay.
I felt this is a mind roll.
Well, I got 2 successes.
Me too.
You were checking out the fountain, right? I heard you
Yeah.
make that statement.
I said I think we should.
Mason,
I don't
okay.
guess I established that we were, but yes,
Okay.
that's where I would be headed.
So you were at least looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
What you notice is that as Beltane is approaching the fountain, it's just a low, 1.5 tall wall with 5 or 6 fountains spraying into the middle towards this giant art sculpture. But as Beltane gets closer, you see that on the sculpture, different lenses are shifting and lining up. Would you continue through into the fountain?
Oh, yeah. Thanks for listening to this episode of Hunting on the Hydian Way. You can find show updates on Twitter at The Hydian Way, and you can find me, Ben, on Twitter at Deuterium Ice.
You can find me, Ren, at Atomic Firebird. And if you don't want my personal nonsense, you can just go follow all my projects on Make Believe Info.
You can find me, Christine, but definitely not Gable. She doesn't do social media. Over at 12th Night. That's 12th Night with a K.
Leslie's on Twitter at LesletGS.
Sometimes. When I exist.
Do you exist now?
I'm on Twitter at LesletGS.
You can find me on Twitter at Blue of the Kin. Or with my Star Trek actual play at Endeavor Show with a U in it. Guess where it is.
I'm in that one too.
And we are all at thehydianway.com, where you can find previous episodes.
You can find more of our episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. Plus, you can really help us out by rating, reviewing, and subscribing.
We're also on Facebook as The Hydian Way. You can holocom us at heroes@thehydianway.com.
If you like what we do and want to support the show, head on over to patreon.com/The Hydian Way.
Or you can toss a cred to your podcaster at ko-fi.com/The Hydian Way.
Throw another proton! Do 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 do. And then there are your bloopers.
I have finished my stream of consciousness
Okay.
rambling.
Do do do. The man that's walking.
Do you recognize him? Is that Jimmy Hoffa?
Wrong city. Wasn't
Oh no,
prepared for that.
Jimmy Hoffa just disappeared.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
true.
we don't
That's
know.
true.
Well,
It could be the right. Maybe he's not under the field. Maybe he's under the fountain
Yeah,
in
I
Point
mean-
Park.
I mean, that's why we don't know where he went, because they were like, we're going to take him where nobody will find him. Pittsburgh.
Who keeps things in Pittsburgh? Do do do.
Stop the playback. It's like hitting a pause button.
Yeah.
I was going for a better analogy.
Fair.
Do do do.
I
Okay.
also got 2 ones.
Okay.
Oh dear.
So
No, that's someone completely different.